I'm Barbara. I and my entire class traveled to the year 3035 together. Humans, once at the top of the food chain, are now an endangered species. Ethan, the underachiever, exclaimed, "Wow, this is amazing. They have everything we need: steak, lobster, and cakes." Lucas, the class president, said, "Air conditioning, waterbeds, swimming pools, 26 degrees Celsius, you rock." Olivia, the class beauty, whined, "Why are they always looking at me? Do they like me that much?" Meanwhile, I was terrified, with hair standing on the end, and my mouth dry. My dear friends, you've forgotten that as an endangered species, we must not only be cherished, loved, and adored, but also infinitely bred. I was the last one to be caught. As a student majoring in animal science, we were heading to a wildlife forest to observe a wild panda when we had an accident and woke up in a post-apocalyptic world. My leg was injured, and I got separated while looking for food. When I woke up after a nap and started crawling eastward up the mountain, that agile insect-like creature wearing gloves who followed me all the way suddenly appeared again. I struggled to escape and reached for a broken rock nearby, trying to throw it at him, but he just stared at me with his clear and bright compound eyes and made a low yet coordinated chirping sound, as if telling me not to be afraid. He seemed to have no malicious intent. I was already exhausted, and my foot wound started bleeding again. The insect creature behind me called out softly, and this time I stopped my staggering steps and turned back to face him. He put a piece of fruit on the ground. I swallowed my saliva and looked down at the fruit. At that moment, I felt a slight sting on my foot and a thin insect needle with a paralyzing effect spread throughout my body. I was anesthetized and woke up in a completely different building site. The other two insect creatures who were responsible for guarding the gate opened the door, and the silver-white building shimmered in the sunlight. The light screens and rotating icons converged into incomprehensible information. Inside the transparent rooms on both sides, there were several humans with strange facial features, huddled in the corners and looking up here. These white and black people looked problematic, with their eyes not coordinated, too wide apart, and thinning hair. When I was lifted out of the transparent electronic box, there was a commotion in the base. All the insect creatures gathered around. They chattered, seeming anxious and excited. The small eyes and the compound eyes on their white heads looked at me nonstop. The leader-like insect creature stretched out its tentacles. I couldn't move due to the effects of the medicine, and could only watch as its hand landed on my head and gently touched it. The chirping sounded like laughter. The pupils in the countless small eyes and the compound eyes of the leader's head enlarged. Judging by human emotions, this was excitement or happiness. It seems that these insect creatures really like humans, especially humans with smooth skin and soft hair. I was taken to a separate room that resembled a medical facility. The wound on my foot was treated with Zerg's medical methods. Unlike human treatments, the Zerg's methods were rather rough. For example, they directly dug out the rotten flesh without using any medication, relying solely on natural regeneration. After the anesthesia wore off, I almost screamed in pain. Then, the Zerg caretaker, who was responsible for taking care of me, brought a bowl of milk. Surprisingly, it was freshly squeezed cow's milk with a hint of a fishy smell. I gritted my teeth and drank it. The Zerg caretaker was delighted and carefully examined me for a while. Taking advantage of the lack of gloves, it even touched my head with its tentacle. I endured a certain degree of disgust and didn't dare to make any sudden movements. Besides eating as much as I could, all I did was observe. Because of my obedience and silence, I quickly received a reward. On that day, after I finished eating, the Zerg caretaker lifted me gently. It used iris recognition to activate the nearby light conveyor belt, and we were transported forward along the corridor, which was made of an unknown material but remained bright. We arrived at a spacious house, where a mix of chairs and antique items from human society were arranged. At the center were about 10 nutrient chambers. Each chamber contained something inside. The one on the outermost side, with closed eyes, was my classmate, Ethan. They were here, and I immediately became nervous. The Zerg doctors inside the nutrient chamber chattered, then looked at me when they noticed my reaction, signaling for my caretaker to put me down. Limping, I walked forward one by one, inspecting each chamber. When I reached the middle, someone woke up inside. It was our classmate, Olivia Jean-Euron. I reached out, wanting to knock. Suddenly, a mechanical arm emerged from the front nutrient chamber, and a line of text appeared in midair, probably some kind of introduction. Trembling, I called out Olivia's name with a trembling voice. My Zerg caretaker immediately emitted a happy, sharp cry. It was the first time I had spoken in these past few days. It said something to the on-duty doctor, and after a while, the chamber door began to open. Olivia was the first to be lifted out by the mechanical arm, followed by the other awakened classmates. Everyone rubbed their eyes and looked at me. I couldn't hold back anymore and almost burst into tears. But the awakened classmates laughed in a relaxed manner. They were captured half a month before me. They know more than I do. This is Earth, but not entirely Earth. Earth has long been occupied by the extraterrestrial insect race. The once thriving human population has dwindled to near extinction and is now classified as a critically endangered species under national protection. They are the beloved pets of the new masters of Earth, the insect race. The total number of them kept in captivity does not exceed 100. They are being protected through the efforts of the nation. As I look at them, I still don't fully understand my situation. Ethan smiles and says, think about the treatment that the former national treasure, Panda, received. It's the same treatment we're getting. They are above all beings on Earth. Ava comforts me, saying, don't be afraid, we are safe now. They won't harm us. Thankfully, you came, everyone was worried sick about you. During this time together, they have been able to understand and anticipate the intentions of the ruling insect species through simple comprehension. And because of the intelligence revealed through this comprehension, they have gained unprecedented attention from the insects. It's a virtuous cycle. The continuous care and pampering they receive make everyone feel like princes and princesses. Ava says, based on our interpretation of the words engraved on us and the level of excitement among the insects, I estimate that the overall human population is probably even lower than the number of pandas in the past. We made bets. Li Jiankong said 3,000, Lucas said 1,000, Olivia said 800. Baba, how much do you bet? How much? I don't know. I turn my head and see the monitoring room behind me. The insect that brought me here, with clean gloves on its tentacles, is cleaning. It occasionally steals glances at me. At that moment, I surprisingly sense a complex emotion in its compound eyes. It seems worried. Is it worried about us being endangered? Ridiculous. As ancient and precious living fossils, humans have lived on Earth for 5 million years. Thanks to their strong adaptability, they caused the extinction of nearly 85% of wild mammal species on Earth and consumed nearly half of the plants, once becoming the rulers of Earth. Then, after thousands of years, they became an endangered species directly. Wait, endangered species? I suddenly remember the people outside the base with facial deformities. There was a sensational case in Australia once, about a family that had severe health problems due to inbreeding, resulting in facial deformities and poor aesthetics, poor eyesight, and some unable to speak. Could it be that the humans in these bases are also? A terrible thought arises. Meanwhile, my classmates next to me are still happily discussing. Ethan, so enjoyable. No need to be corporate slaves, they take care of our food, housing, and even bathing, with steak, lobster, and cakes. Lucas, air conditioning, waterbeds, swimming pools, 26 degrees Celsius, you rock. Olivia, why do they keep looking at me? Do they like me this much? And only I am left with raised hair and a dry mouth. My dear friends. Have you forgotten that as an endangered species, besides being cherished and loved, we must also reproduce endlessly? There are 8 of us together, including myself, all from the same car and split into 2 dorms. The boys are Lucas, Ethan, Noah, and a bespectacled Ryan, while the girls are myself, Olivia, Ava, and my introverted roommate Emma. It's a perfect balance of 4 boys and 4 girls. We're all wearing collars around our necks and wrists, with the girls' collars being silver and the boys being gold. There seems to be some sort of symbol or code on each collar that distinguishes gender, and if I had to guess, my number would be 8. The insect creatures that have been calling me Ba seem to confirm my suspicion, and the youngest of our group, Ryan, blushes at the thought. Olivia rolls her eyes in embarrassment and brushes her curly hair back, saying it's unlikely. Lucas and Ava remain silent for a moment before agreeing that we need to find a way to escape, but with the insects watching our every move through their compound eyes, it won't be easy. Emma is already on the brink of tears, and I try to calm her down by reminding her that we need to control our emotions to avoid being seen as a threat. Looking outside, I notice that there are more insect creatures than I originally thought, and they all seem to be differentiated by the type of collar they wear. Regular citizens wear necklaces made of stones or beads, while doctors wear crystal or gemstone necklaces. Those with higher ranks wear gold necklaces, with larger beads indicating higher status. As I observe the insect leader outside wearing a thick gold chain and antennae moving restlessly, I realize that Olivia has put on perfume and styled her hair. She shrugs nonchalantly when I point it out, saying that a girl should always look her best. Unfortunately, her efforts have attracted the attention of the insect leader, who points a claw at her and signals for an insect nanny to come and take her away. The insect leader nods in satisfaction before turning his attention towards the rest of us. Are they selecting people? Ryan asked, his eyes fixed on the glasses-wearing Lucas. Ryan snapped back to reality, his face instantly turning red. Noah showed his loyalty, saying, whether they choose us or not, rest assured, we won't act recklessly. Ryan glanced at me and said, I won't either. But Olivia had been taken away for quite some time, and none of us inside were taken. Everyone's anxiety began to grow. As the only one who had spent over a week outside, I became their new consultant. I didn't know either. During my week outside, I hadn't seen a single living person. The remaining houses and park ruins were almost entirely covered by various strange insectoid structures. The ground was littered with remnants of hatched eggshells and residue. An uncomfortable acidic smell permeated the air. Under these circumstances, the wilderness was simply unsuitable for human survival. Those humans who managed to survive were all kept in captivity. And in this case, besides us, there were a few others. As I thought about this, Lucas and the others also realized it. Instinctively, everyone rushed towards the transparent smooth windows, but electrical currents were running through them. Just one touch would make your whole body go numb. Our actions quickly drew the attention of the insectoid caretakers. As Lucas was lifted, one after another, other insectoid caretakers entered. In the final moment, I shouted, "Cry! Remember, cry as long as you don't see your kind. Cry when you see them, cry multiple times, they will understand, and we will be able to meet."